I mean, crossing the North Atlantic in November is no fun. On a little tin can of a ship, word got out that maybe we were smoking pot after the session was over, and then Yoko would get like pissed off at us, and she'd call us, and John and I looked at each other, and before I could do it, John went, "Ooh."
Yeah. In amongst all this, here comes Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm. You know, I never said no to them.
Yeah, what was your role in this?
I was a getaway driver.
Thank you so much for being here. Longtime fan. Here we are together, talk nerd stuff, recording, and of course, the bacchanal that is rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in the epicenter of it now for a good 50 plus years.
50 plus years, yeah. Yeah.
So, even though it's the most obvious thing in the world, I'd like to start with the day you met John Lennon, because it seems to me it's the watershed moment of your life, because the moment you meet John Lennon, your life literally does change.
Right.
It's not like you met him and then your life changed later. I mean, your life changed the day you met John Lennon.
Yeah, it did, but...
is that fair?
I mean, I don't know if it's totally fair, because I was on some kind of path already.
Yeah. But maybe...
this was unexpected. And if you did some research, you probably know that the whole Liverpool...
No, that's the second part of my question, you see.
Yeah, so...
Because the reason I say that is because you were on a trajectory. You were already working as an engineer. You were working at the record plant.
Yeah.
And you worked your way up literally from janitor on up.
Yes.
So it's not to discount what you were doing, but I'm saying is that's the day John Lennon personally walks you into a session and says, can we give this guy something to do? And now suddenly you're working with Phil Spector and all these esteemed musicians.
It took a notable change. But
if you don't think it's fair to put it that way, tell me why it isn't fair to put it that way. Because that's why I asked the questions. I ask my questions with assumptions, but
it did cause a huge change in my life. But I didn't think that day that it was going to be the kind of change that it turned out to be.
I see. But you looking back now, do you look at it that way?
Yes.
Okay.
For both good and for both bad and tragic.
Yeah.
And for me, led me on a really self-destructive kind of a journey after his passing. But for him to recognize me from a newspaper article in the Liverpool Echo in 1965 was very stunning. And my surprise was that he was surprised to meet me. Like in all the rooms I walk into, here's the guy that was like, we should have been just on the front pages of our local newspaper. We just released Rubber Soul.
Yeah.
And there's these two guys on a ship with their guitars and their band from landing.
So for people who don't know the story, I actually knew the story. You and a friend go over to Liverpool, 1965. It's the winter, I believe.
Yeah, December.
Okay. And you show up on a ship. You don't even have a immigration permit, nothing. You just show up and you decide you're going to be rock stars in Liverpool.
Not even a return trip ticket. But you had that energy once where it doesn't matter.
It's a kind of a beautiful blind faith or something.
Yes,
and which turned out honestly to be accurate, because that has everything to do with why the day you meet John Lennon, you go, oh, by the way, I was in Liverpool once.
Yeah,
and he knows the story, and he's like, he recognizes you from the story.
Yeah, you know what he asked me? In that picture in the newspaper, I've got a 1955 Les Paul Custom with a Bigsby.
Okay, was it with the one with the Diodario pickup? I can't remember.
No. This is the original 1955 magnesium pickups.
Okay.
The second question he asked me was, "You still have that?"
So now there's a musician.
You
right?
say you still have that Les Paul. He wasn't much interested in my partner's guitar. He had a Mosrite.
Yeah.
Which I don't even think he knew what a Mosrite was. But he wanted to know about that Les Paul.
That's funny that he remembered it.
Yeah. Well, right there. I'll send you a picture.
I'd love to see it
from the newspaper. But he just thought that it was like a strange moment that he would run into me there, and that I was a guy who had the wherewithal to take a trip like that to Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, crossing the North Atlantic in November is no fun on a little tin can of a ship. But he invited me in to work on the record.
Which is the Imagine record.
Right.
Produced by Phil Spector.
Right. The reason that John was in the room that I was in was to escape from Phil.
Yeah.
For a
he
few
had
minutes.
Kind of a love-hate relationship with Phil, right?
Yeah, very much so. And in fact, when we were doing Double Fantasy and word got out that maybe we were smoking pot after the session was over, and then Yoko would get like pissed off at us. And she'd call us down into her office in Studio One. And John and I would be standing there like two school children. Why, she yelled at us for, what were you doing? You blah, 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 blah. And then she looked at me and she said, I can always get Phil to do this, to do these sessions. And John, because John at this point hated him. I hated him. And John and I looked at each other, and before I could do it, John went, ooh.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
So, as the story goes, he brings you into the session. You were in editing a room or something.
I was, transfers and editing.
Yeah. So he brings you in the session. He says, can we give this guy something to do?
Yeah.
And, politics being what they are, suddenly, you're being elevated into a spot that anybody would die for.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there were two engineers on the date. It was
they probably looked at what's he doing.
Yeah, I mean, my boss, Roy Sakala, and Shelley Ackes, an amazing engineer.
Yeah,
and they were just like, I mean, first of all, when I walked in the room, they said, "Well, what are you doing?" And all I could say was, "I'm with him."
My new buddy.
Yeah,
my new buddy John.
And he, for some reason, he took a liking to me. He would ask me to do stuff.
Yeah.
Eventually, he asked me where I lived. I lived in the Village. He lived in the Village on Bank Street.
Yeah.
He gave me a ride home a few times. He asked me if I knew a restaurant he could go in a back door. He and Yoko. We did that a few nights, and then one night he called me up. He asked me for my phone number. He called me up and he said, "I have to go to this party. There's all these kind of nutcases there. I just want you to keep an eye on things." Because I don't know them personally. It was Abby Hoffman and that whole crew.
Was that a whole world, yeah.
That whole crew. And they were talking in this apartment off the pig, and they were talking about violence.
Yeah.
And he was getting drunker and drunker.
Yeah. Well, that's also what got him investigated by the FBI?
Yeah.
Because they was hanging out with these dissidents.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got yourself in all that,
they were
too.
using him.
Of course.
Really.
That's pretty obvious
in
hindsight.
But he made quite a scene at that party. He grabbed a knife in the kitchen and he went at this woman who had been yelling to off the pigs, and he was like, "You want violence? I'll show you violence." Scared the shit out of her.
Wow.
And then we left.
Yeah. So, how was Phil Spector? Two questions. What did you think of Phil Spector? I mean, I'm not talking about necessarily by reputation when you're walking in. Were you a fan?
Mm.
But I mean, now you're working with Phil Spector. At least you're in his proximity. And this is John just after the Beatles. This is and Phil Spector is still Phil Spector.
Yeah, I was rather disappointed because I had a lot of respect for him. I loved his records. And
especially growing up in this
and
part of the world.
Right. And Ronnie was there very frequently at the and Phil was frequently quite drunk or high. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he would be kind of half asleep at the end of the board. And I watched Roy Sakala very subtly take over the production of the record. Phil would lift his head every once in a while and go, more reverb. and I had no respect for Phil after that until I worked on the Christmas song. At that point, and John had John treated him badly and argued with him constantly. And I learned a great deal about how to work with John from watching those sessions. But when we did the Christmas record, Phil was totally in his element. And that, to me, was like the most successful I'd seen Phil work with John. It was a Phil Spector production.
Yeah. What's that live, I don't know, magical thing that he would do where he would just be...
Yeah, I mean, look, he had 4 acoustic guitar players in a circle with a mic and Omni in the middle. They're all strumming the same thing. I mean, that kind of thing.
And no one ever did that better.
No,
whatever that was.
Yeah.
Because it's there's a science, I'm sure, but the magic is knowing what works or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing the tracks out over the monitors in the room.
Oh, feeding the tracks back into the room?
Yeah.
Wow.
During overdubs.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So did you, I mean...
A big choir of, kids and...
But back to Imagine, and I don't know where in the sessions you came in. The sessions when I think, I wrote it down, but it's like February to July of 71.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. But in any given time, George Harrison's on the record.
Yeah.
Nicky Hopkins, Klaus Vorman's playing bass.
Mm-hmm.
Keltner's playing drums.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the other drummer? Alan White.
Alan White, yeah.
Yes fame. And that's a pretty interesting group of musicians, too. You're not just working with John Lennon, you're working with like a pretty A crew of talent.
Yeah. I think I underappreciated it. I was so nervous to actually be there doing it that I just treated it like I was working with session guys.
Ah, okay.
Like I was working with, Steve Gadd and Tony Levin.
Sure. So in a given day, were you miking? I mean, were you...
Yeah, I was miking.
Yeah.
Lucky I had been mentored by Roy Cicala.
Okay.
So that I knew...
so you were already in...
I knew his miking technique.
And that would be a big deal if you're coming in as sort of a...
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have to tell me what he wanted on a... I mean...
you and I understand studio politics. It's like an outsider just can't walk in.
Yeah, but I wasn't so much of an outsider.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm making. If you were just some guy he found on the street, it would have been a disaster. Because even if you were a genius, you're suddenly you're an invader.
You don't belong there.
But because you're part of that family, you're the kid, and they're giving you.
And I was Roy's baby.
I wanted to touch a little bit when you were in Liverpool in 65 going into 66, because you were there for a brief time and correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys started doing gigs when you weren't supposed to and the sun got in trouble and shipped back out.
Yeah.
But did you see any artists play around that time?
Oh yeah, we did. We hung out at the original Cabaret Club.
I mean, what an incredible time to be there.
It was amazing. I mean, it was like a dream come true. It was better than anything I could ever have imagined.
Well, you can argue it's the greatest moment in rock and roll history is that period of time.
And we would hang out at the Cabaret. The big plus of coming back, because I was already a working musician, but small time, locally. But when I came back from Liverpool, I had cred. I was a guy that had been
Beatle pixie dust.
I had been to Liverpool, and we both, Eddie and I, both hooked up with the Angels, my boyfriend's back.
Okay,
and went on the road with them and playing guitar, playing bass.
Wow!
And we did a bunch of road gigs with the Angels.
That sounds pretty fun.
Was fun, but Liverpool. I wish I could remember all the bands that I saw down there.
Yeah.
We were playing in the suburbs with a band that picked us up because we were kind of famous. But within 2 weeks we were busted.
You went viral basically in the modern parlance. Yeah.
Yes. And we left in shackles. on a train to Southampton.
So when you were young, somebody gives you a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and this sort of begins your fascination with sound. And
that's right, my father did.
Yeah, and you started doing almost like these music concrete. You were recording different things. Were you editing the tapes? And
yeah, I was. I also was putting my guitar, the mic, into the acoustic guitar I had, and I was recording my guitar in there as a kid and letting it feed back and getting all these sounds. And it was crazy about the whole thing. It was a cheap tape recorder that my dad worked in a freight yard, so things used to fall off freight cars.
As they do.
The whole neighborhood. He sold TVs and radios to the whole neighborhood I lived in, Bronx. Yeah. But he thought he was getting me a record player because I used to drive my parents crazy wanting to use their record player as a kid and playing my, Bozo Under the Sea, and the Tortoise and the Hare, Uncle Remix, the Song of the South.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to listen to their big band records, my father's opera stuff. So my father, when he went into the freight car to get, he thought it said record player. It said recorder. And it was a Webcore.
Yeah.
Good brand.
Yeah, not bad brand.
It was something that came in from Chicago, I think.
Yeah.
And
that's right. I think it was from Chicago.
And he pulled that out, and we didn't know until I opened the present.
Yeah.
That because he had it in a bag, and he put the bag under the bed.
Well, actually, a reel-to-reel at that time would have been more valuable than a record player.
Yeah, but I wanted a record player, but this turned out to be much better.
Well, it worked out.
Yeah.
So, at what point do you make this transition sort of psychologically, like from I want to be a musician to I want to be on the other side of the glass and recording? And
the last band I was in was a group called Privilege, and and I've been in.
Is this the Isley Brothers?
Yeah, the Isley
Records.
Yeah, they produced us.
Yeah,
and I didn't. And we recorded at A&R Studios.
Okay.
Phil Ramones played.
Yeah,
but it was a wrong combination.
What kind of music?
They were. It was.
There's not a lot of information on that part of your life.
Yeah, it's kind of psychedelic. We wanted to be Led Zeppelin, but a New York version with a Hammond organ.
Okay.
So it was kind of blues-based, psychedelic. I played
more
bass.
More psychedelic than Vanilla Fudge, say?
More like that, but more blues-based.
Okay.
More Led Zeppelin-y.
Cactus.
Yeah, Cactus, fair. It was part New Jersey, part New York.
Because there was a cool hard rock thing happening in this. We're in New York, but there was it was different here in terms of heavy music than say Detroit, Chicago, LA.
Well, I had after I quit the one band in Florida that I was playing with. I joined a Canadian band that was called the Liverpool Set. They were already now. Not one of these guys had ever been to Liverpool.
That's why I'm laughing. Yeah, I already know where this is going. Yeah,
I was the only guy that had ever been there, and I'm the only American in the band. They were from Latvia, Scotland, England, and of course Canada, and they were based in Toronto. In the days in Toronto when the Village was really something.
Sure.
The Checkmates and the Mandela and so we wanted this drummer from a group called the Minor Birds.
Okay.
That so some famous people in that band, but we got him. He was English, and we got the piano player from Ronnie Hawkins.
Okay.
The Hawks.
Yeah.
His name was Scott Cushney. He wanted to leave because when they were playing Le Coq d'Or on Yonge Street, Ronnie would crank him up, part of it, and make him play really fast. So he didn't. He wanted out. We got him. Interesting enough, Scott Kushney ended up in Aerosmith for a while because he's the piano player on Big 10-inch.
Oh.
But anyway, he, interesting story. I was just working on a documentary about him. He was called Dr. Piano or something. He had a great reputation in Toronto.
Okay.
And he played Thursday through Sunday at a club. When people came into town, they'd always end up jamming with him, Scott Kushney.
Okay.
And so I got a message, this a couple of years ago. He's disappeared. He was blind also. He disappeared. And I'm like, Scott disappeared? He could see, kind of. He had Coke bottle glasses.
Yeah.
He knew how to get home all the time. He didn't make it home just one day. And so he disappeared. And now he was gone for months. It was all over Canadian news.
Okay.
Scott Kushney, Dr. Piano, disappeared. So they thought, he must have drowned, he must have this.
Mm.
So it ended up, at some point, he was in the hospital, he had fallen, and his face hit the curb, and it completely disfigured him. And he was in a coma, and he finally passed away. These people came in, they were looking for their uncle or somebody who had disappeared that same week, and they identified Scott as their uncle.
Oh my goodness.
And they gave him a big Greek Orthodox.
Sorry to laugh.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Funny.
And buried him. Now he's missing for like a really long time. You know what happens? The uncle shows up.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, who did we bury? Scott Kushney.
I've never heard a story like that. That is crazy.
Scott Kushney. Anyway, so I was in this band. We were signed to Columbia. We recorded in Nashville, made a couple of hits. And we played the craziest places you could ever imagine.
Now, is this Privilege or this is the
Liverpool
Liverpool
this is
set?
Liverpool set, yeah. But we did play the summer of 66 or 67 at Tony Mart's. Did you ever hear of Tony Mart's?
Don't know.
It's a fabulous place on the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
You know, it's like a dream to play there. I once asked Bruce, did you ever play Tony? He said, I dreamed of playing Tony Mart's. I was just slightly too young.
Yeah.
And played there. It was great. And then I had another band after that called The Waterfront.
Okay.
And which became my production company for some years. And we were signed to Epic Records.
Okay.
But they changed our name to the Swamp Seeds.
See, there's almost none of this history is available where I looked.
So, and then the Swamp
Seeds. I would have done my research. I would have gone.
Yeah, the Swamp Seeds morphed into Privilege.
Okay.
And we went from Epic Records to
T-Neck, which was their Isley's private imprint.
Yeah, well, Buddha Records.
Really. Right. Okay. Yeah. Right.
You know, even earlier in my later teens, I was writing for Kennedy.
Right.
So I already had, you know,
this is President Kennedy. Yeah, it's not just Kennedy.
No, Robert Kennedy.
Robert Kennedy.
He was running for Senate.
Yeah.
In New York, and I was writing campaign songs and then warming the crowd up.
Okay.
On a tour.
Right, but again, sorry, because I'm glad you told me all this because I couldn't find any of this information. Because I love this type of stuff. Because I love the musical journey part of it. But like, at what point do you go, okay, I'm done as an artist and now I just want to be on the recording side?
I think because
that's a hard psychological thing for a lot of musicians to get over when they go out of, you know what I mean? Like when we were young, we worked with Butch Vig, who'd had been signed to a couple labels. Both bands didn't kind of work. Mm-hmm. So when we're working with him and he's working with us in Nirvana, he's kind of somewhat bitter on some level that his musical life didn't work out the way he wanted. Eventually he formed Garbage and had a lot of his own success as an artist. But most guys or girls who make that transition, there's always that kind of feeling that they didn't get out of it what they came in to get.
Oh, I never felt like that.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, no, for me, it was all a great adventure from start to wherever I am now. You know, it's like, I could never figure that it would, you know, each step would be more enlightening. And,
yeah.
I started that I wanted to score film.
Okay.
That's what I studied in school, theory and composition. And even while I was the janitor at Record Plant, at night I was a client because I was scoring the ABC after school specials.
Okay.
I was writing the music for that show. So I wasn't sure exactly, which path. And now I'm scoring film constantly.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure where I was
it kind of explains, see, you tell me that helps, because it sort of explains the cinematic aspect of some of the productions that you've done, particularly some of the most famous ones, particularly when I think of Aerosmith.
Yeah, well,
there's a cinematic quality to the way that you produce them.
Also,
does that ring true? Does that ring true to you?
Yeah, it does. First of all, if you're looking up at the monitors, when I look up at the monitors, I see a movie.
Mm.
I'm seeing this band in a movie up there, and I'm watching, each of the strings of the guitar becomes a live thing, and the drums become an image in a live thing. And so,
maybe you're just a Dadaist at heart.
Yes, could be. I think so.
It's kind of a Dadaist mind, the way you describe it even, and even the idea of cutting tape up, playing with sound.
Yeah. When I was working with Bob Ezrin on $1 Billion Babies, there's a song on there called I Love the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And we were mixing that thing for 40 hours straight. Bob said, I'm so tired. I'm going to go get a couple of Z's back at the hotel. Yeah. You work on it for a while. I was already wiped out. It was right around Christmas, just before Christmas. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll take this mix. I'll do some editing. Maybe I come up with something. I got all this. So I took a couple of mixes and I pinned up all these different pieces that I thought were good up on the wall. Chorus from here, verse, second verse, a middle eight. And I put my hand in my pocket and there was a pill. And I'm looking at the pill and I said, who gave me this damn pill? Oh, this girl, she's a speed freak, gave me this pill. This will work great. It was a capsule. It must be speed. Just what I need really to get me through the next 3 or 4 hours to put this together. It was some kind of psychotic.
A psychotic or a psychedelic?
A psychedelic.
Okay.
It was a psychedelic of some kind, maybe mushroom.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm trying to edit and I'm editing on a 440 Ampex, which is a low kind of machine. But when I look down, my arms suddenly got 10 feet long. I'm rocking the reels. And anyway, I put it back together best I could. And one piece of it's backwards. And Bob came in. I was now out, sound asleep. Bob came in and he turned down the machine, listened to it. He goes, brilliant, perfect. So that,
yeah. So is Bob Ezrin really encouraged you to really think like a producer, right?
He did. He told me that I was a producer because of that first Dolls album.
Mm.
Because Todd wasn't there very often, nor did he care much about the record.
Yeah.
It was not a good fit because Todd's production style was so beautifully clean and the harmonies are always so perfect. I remember we were doing Personality Crisis or Trash or one of these things. I knew all those guys. I hung out at Max's and I knew the scene. And so I got the gig so that there would be somebody they could relate to that they knew.
Yeah.
And of course, Lieber Krebs managed them. And so we're doing one of those songs. And Todd turns to me, he says, it's really awful. And I said, well, it's not that they don't play that well, but when it's all together, it's kind of really cool sound. Yeah. It's something about
It's what we would call my band a vibe. It's a
vibe. So now, the band comes in and they're like, half of them are stoned. And Johnny Thunders, I don't even think he came in. He went like very straight to the bathroom. And David comes in last. And David had been doing a live vocal just to keep the band going.
Yeah.
And David, who was a very close friend of mine, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, just passed away. Huh?
David comes in and not knowing what to say, Todd said to him, this is going to be really good when we put some harmony on there. And David looked at me and he said, "Harmony? Are you accusing me of having melody?" I thought that was one of the funniest I'd ever heard.
Yeah.
And, he was taking the piss, but it was really wonderful. Anyway, so Bob would stop by every once in a while to see how that was turning out in there. And he'd come by, Todd was there. We had to keep the label out a lot of the time so they wouldn't know, Mercury Records, that there was nobody in charge, that the inmates were running the asylum at that point. But we were getting it done. But after that, he said to me, you're a producer. That's what you're doing on the record.
I see.
You know who my assistant was on that, for Jimmy Iovine.
Ah. Yeah. What did he ever do? Did he ever do anything? So you have these interesting experiences with the Lennons and Yoko, John and Yoko, and then there's other things you get into, like Edwin Hawkins, LaBelle.
Well, I did LaBelle's. I did her demos. I also did, and I was just reading about it because I also did Billy Joel's demos to get his.
Oh wow!
For where he got his deal from, just piano and vocal, and Artie Ripp had paid for the session, and Artie came in with Billy and
Billy was he'd been in some kind of psychedelic band too, right?
Yeah, he was in the Huns or something. He wore horns.
Yeah.
But he was also in the Hassles, which was very much like the Vanilla Fudge.
Okay. That's right. I've heard that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, very much like the Vagrants, another East Coast Hammond group.
Okay.
Leslie West was the leader.
Yeah. I love Leslie West.
Yeah, he was great
player.
So, I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
No, I guess what I'm trying to point you at is, now you're in the hustle, like you're in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now you're but with
the
Bob,
Who?
Right. I was getting there too. But I mean, with Bob Ezrin's encouragement, now you're taking these experiences. You worked with the Who on Lifehouse sessions. You've got your foot in it now, and the way the business works is, once your name gets around, people start saying, So did you come into it with a philosophical approach? Because there was kind of it seems like around that time, and you tell me you were there, but it seems like not a back to basics, but kind of more of an organic vibe to the records. Is that?
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Is that something you were interested in? You were a proponent of, or was that sort of the time?
That was a school that of recording that goes back to Al Schmidt and Phil Ramone.
Yeah,
and the philosophy was, go out and listen to the instrument you're about to record, and then come back into the studio and recreate that sound as best you can, so that you can see that instrument in front of you.
That really explains it, because the world I grew up in, we didn't think like that. But when I go back and listen to those records, I could never understand sort of philosophically where that was coming from.
Yeah.
Because to us, especially as kids listening to records, my daddy was a musician, so I heard a lot of music when I was a kid too. It always seemed kind of very, not clear, but defined. It's like good sound was a big part of that logic. But, in Chicago was about the blues. Everything was like over-amplified, over-distorted.
Mm-hmm.
So to us, the East Coast thing was always kind of the Phil Ramone, like almost too clear, too defined, where we were growing up with everything over-amped.
Well, then, all right, so this was passed on to Royce Cheliakis. Then their philosophy, in particular Shelley, was now you've got all of these instruments that sound like the instruments that are out in the room. Now make it sound like a record.
Okay. What does that mean to you?
Add the magic to it.
Okay, so the magic is...
the compression, the EQ, the reverb, the delays, all those things that make it have that magic. Don't go completely crazy.
Yeah.
Be subtle with it, and it'll work out great. Okay,
that helps me understand because particularly your work with Aerosmith, it's got a particular feeling to it. Where a lot of guys would have gone maybe the other way into aggression.
Yeah,
your work has a lot of beautiful definition that holds up really, really well over time.
It's quite dry, actually.
Yeah, that too. Which for the punter in the room means you're not adding reverbs and undue ambience. Back then you would have used plates but
right. Now also leakage was important to me.
Sure.
Like if I put the bass in a booth, I always opened the door to the booth.
Okay.
And let that big wave.
You like that.
That big wave will leak into the drums.
Sense.
Yeah.
So in amongst all this, here comes Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first impression of them?
Well, being such a Yardbirds fan.
Okay.
I immediately...
So you got it.
I got it right away. And when I went up to Boston to see them, by the way, they wanted Bob to produce that record.
Right.
And
was it because he was more of a name? Or?
Yeah, he was a big name. But
he's Canadian. See, that's always a...
Yeah. But I'm a landed immigrant.
That's a joke for all our
Canadians. I'm a Canadian landed immigrant. From working up there, I got landed immigrant status.
You become Canadian by proxy. Yeah.
But Bob didn't think they were ready after hearing that first record, and Lieber and Krebs also managed them and the Dolls, and they were looking to give me the prize that I deserved for making sure that the Dolls album got through.
So you got that gig because
that was my prize.
Who'd you first connect with in Aerosmith, sort of emotionally, like of the guys?
I think Steven, because he's basically Bronx Yonkers,
right?
So we recognized each other right away.
Yeah.
But it's Steven and Joe.
Yeah,
those are the guys. Joe was very standoffish or very shy. Either one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the reluctant rock star. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a very bookish. He wanted to be some kind of scientist. He was interested in saving fish in the ocean. The reason he started playing guitar was so that girls would notice him.
Yeah.
So
that worked.
Yeah.
But I love it because, go, please.
But in a room at a high school gig they were doing where they were playing where it was so the acoustics are so terrible you could hardly hear anything.
Yeah. But the charisma was there.
The charisma and the aggression. And they played Train Kept a Rolling.
Yeah.
And, from Blow Up, that was always a big thing for me.
Yeah. When we, the last day of school in 6th grade, which for me would have been, what age would I have been? 11 years old. So that would have been 1978.
Mm-hmm.
We had a little commons area. And so they said for the last day of school, you can play whatever you want. We have a record player.
Uh-huh.
Bring in your records. You can play whatever you want. Kind of like a last day of school party.
Uh-huh.
So I played Train Kept Rolling, and the teacher made me turn it off. And I said, "But you said I could play whatever I want.
Anything but that."
And he said, "But you can't play that."
Yeah. Oh my.
And shut it off, and I did the in the middle of it, right in the middle of Train Kept Rolling.
Wow.
So the reason I love this type of stuff is, the legend of Aerosmith, particularly at this point, it's a long train. There's a lot of history there, good and bad, mostly good, but the records and the breakups and Joe going solo, and you did that stuff and all of it, right? But you were at the beginning of that that particular train. You saw them in that not infancy, but you saw them before they became this legendary, now the number one selling hard rock band in American history. Mostly borne up by records that you did.
Yeah, the first three.
Yeah. So it's hard from an interview point of view. It's like, what's a point of entry? You know what I mean? And because it's, there's the war stories and the thing. I'm more interested. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not that interested in that because that's already all out there.
Yeah.
So did you feel right away, or did it take you a hot second to think, okay, this band's got something that's really, really unique and special? Not just this is another good band.
Oh, absolutely.
What was that for you?
First of all, it was Steven's voice and his very being. He's a force.
He is a force of nature.
Yeah, he really is. And I knew that he was going to drive that band to make it no matter what.
Well, there's that song "Make It." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He literally sings it.
Yeah.
In the song,
right?
We're going to make it.
Dedicated and loyal to the band. He loved them. He loved Joe like the kind of love he could never get back from Joe. That would cause problems quite often. But
interesting.
Yeah, he could never get that kind of love back from Joe. It was sometimes heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I don't mean in a sexual or
no, I get it. Every band has its weird chemistry.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes it work is almost the thing that doesn't make it work. It's like a cutting edge in there somewhere. Like an unrequited love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in my case, I was talking about it recently. Like I would write some of these songs that now are big songs and my band would just shrug.
Yeah.
Like they didn't give at all.
Uh-huh.
It was like it didn't matter what magic trick I did. They were like, but I think that's part of what drove me in the band.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah. Like trying to impress. I was trying to impress them more than I was trying to impress the world or something. It's interesting.
They become the most important people to impress.
Well, they're the people that are in the room every day.
Yeah. They're your brothers.
Everybody else comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of Aerosmith, I mean, the fact that that's still a moving train, 50 something years later,
now
they just released these new songs with
Youngblood.
Joe and Steven.
Yeah, it's not bad either. It's not something I would be producing, but that's fine.
So alluding to my previous thing, there's so much there. I mean, you and I could just literally talk about Aerosmith for 3 hours, so we'll keep it simple. But so I just picked like one spot, right? So I was looking at the records and what was on the records, and you were obviously in the room. But I thought, okay, I can't remember which. It was "Get Your Wings," right? It's 1974, and there one side of the record is "No More, No More," and then I think the last track on that side is "You See Me Crying."
Yeah.
And it's like, so just take those two songs, you know what I mean? Because there's so much to talk about. Like, so No More, No More, it's like, it's basically Guns N' Roses 15 years before Guns N' Roses.
Right.
And You See Me Crying, and I remember hearing that song when it came out. It was like, what band is this?
Yeah.
You found this, and basically it presages the ballad version of Aerosmith that was so big in the 90s. Like, you were doing that with them in 1974.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saw that in Steven's voice.
Yeah, and I knew I wanted to orchestrate it.
Yeah, it's beautiful
that way.
Did you do the string?
No, Mike Maneri.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I already knew who I was going to, who the orchestra was going to be. It was primarily the New York Philharmonic.
Yeah. But that's the cinematic thing in you.
I sat with Michael and talked through the arrangement with him.
Yeah.
But that scoring for 90 pieces is out of my league.
Sure, but I mean, if you were just like a common, growing up in Aerosmith was huge in Chicago, so you couldn't escape them in Chicago whether you wanted to or not.
Uh-huh.
And But that was one of those songs where as a fan, you would listen to the record and there's all this rock stuff and obviously a lot of swagger from Steven and Joe's guitar playing and this and this and that. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, what is this band?
Well, that's inspiration from the Beatles.
Okay.
Who finish off an album with Ringo singing.
Oh, Good Night. Yeah.
Good Night.
Yeah.
So that was the inspiration for that.
I didn't know that.
And the other thing was, we're working primarily with vinyl, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So you can't put a loud song on the inside of the record.
Because it starts to degrade, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You can't have a heavy bottom or... So
that's we also... 18 minutes or 20 minutes is where it starts to go, right?
Yeah, that's why there were only 9 songs on those Aerosmith records.
Ah, I see.
And you could start out with a bang. We always started out with, like Toys, Back in the Saddle or something that was really bottom heavy and introduced the record.
Now, what about all those weird rumors we always heard that Joe wasn't really playing guitar? Like, what is the...
What? On Get Your Wings, on a couple of tunes, he's not. It's Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter.
Okay.
Which was a hard sell.
Was it because of musicianship or was it because of...
Yeah, they weren't the players they wanted to be, yet. They had in their minds what they wanted to do.
But it must have been hard for Joe.
Brad was a trained guitarist.
Yeah.
But Joe is a guy who played from the gut, all feel, and at that time, very little technique, but the greatest feel ever.
What a feel.
And dangerous. Really, because he didn't care what key went into, and sometimes that was great. But it needed a couple of those songs needed a discipline that they didn't have at that point. When I approached Steven about it first, he was like, absolutely, I totally get it. I totally get it. You sell it, but I get it.
I would say the same.
Yeah, I'll support it. And Joe took it really badly. Brad didn't at all, and said I always wanted to watch those guys work.
Okay. But I imagine it would be hard for Joe.
It was hard for Joe, but it was only a couple of tunes. Same Old Song and Dance, Train Kept a Rolling.
Somebody once told me they thought it was Rick Derringer playing some of that stuff.
No, just, and I knew Dick and Steve from the Alice albums.
Yeah. What a great band that was.
Yeah.
What a great band.
Yeah. But in the end, it worked out because they learned those solos and went out on the road for a year. He came back when we did Toys. They were like a different,
I see,
completely different
you could
musicians.
Definitely hear the jump in their musicianship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And what was, just say one thing about the magic of that band was that they really acted like a band. They really respected the contributions that each member of the band made. They were totally open to everything, including Steven, except for lyrics.
Okay.
Including Steven. Somebody made a suggestion. We played it out before. Okay. I never said no to them. I just said, let's see what works best. And that's why the pre-production stages were sometimes months long.
Yeah.
Because they came off the road with no music, nothing at all.
Yeah, probably just a riff and
That's a riff, yeah.
I want to circle back because we're sort of in your arc, 1974-75. Were you still in orbit of John and Yoko at this point? Because I read something that you were sort of around for the Lost Weekend time in L.A.
I was, because I did Muscle of Love out there, which John talked me into doing.
Oh, really?
But, yeah. I said to John, wow.
Did he like Alice Cooper?
He did. He said, I'm producing Alice Cooper. And he said to me, really, where are you doing it? And I said, wherever they tell me.
Yeah.
Being a novice.
Yeah.
And he said, you're the producer. You tell them where you're going to do it. Of course, Richardson was also producing to keep an eye on me, really.
Yeah.
And so he said, why don't you bring it out to L.A.? Warner's will love it. You'll be close to them.
Yeah.
So we did it at Sunset Sound. And this gave me a chance then to become one of the original Hollywood vampires, along with Alice.
Were you in Sunset One, the original room, the original Sunset Room, or were you in
Yes,
room?
the big room.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah. I did one song in there once. It was interesting.
Yeah. The big Neve.
Yeah. I think they finally sold that Neve.
Oh.
Well, that's the thing with us old studio guys, it all goes eventually.
Yeah. I have a studio as well.
Okay.
In LA, so we have a nice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, an SSL and all the bells and whistles and $500,000 or $600,000 worth of mics.
Wow.
Everything.
What's the name of your studio out there?
No name.
Oh, no name?
No, it's not a commercial studio.
Oh, it's just
we let friends use it.
Okay.
And it's a big room.
Okay.
I can score in it.
Oh, wow.
It's big enough for a small orchestra. Got everything you could ever imagine, except for the Fairchild we just sold for $150,000.
You talking about the Fairchild compressor?
Yes.
What made it so expensive other than the normal $34,000?
It was $50 when we bought it.
Yeah. Was it a special one?
It sounded great, but we had it tuned as well.
Okay.
And a guy from Dubai was buying. He went around LA, made us an offer. And my partner and I.
The plugin's looking really good.
The plugin, you know what? The plugin sounds great.
Yeah, the plugins are pretty good these days.
It depends on what you sample, what instrument you sample. So, yeah. So we were like, I think we bought a rack of 1073s.
Wow. So back to the Lost Weekend for a second.
I was the getaway driver.
I was going to say, what was your role in this?
I was a getaway driver in this Cadillac.
So the vampires it was Alice, Lennon, Nielsen.
Sometimes Ringo.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Mickey Dolenz.
That's right. What a crew.
Yeah, really. And there was some pretty hairy times. Getting John out of places where he was getting into trouble when he was drunk.
Yeah.
He once kicked the rear windshield out of the car I was driving. He could get pretty violent. That was bad times for him.
What was your relationship like with Yoko? I mean, I get the sense that you wouldn't have been in that orbit if she didn't want you around.
Well, I'd made all those Yoko records.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I mean,
that was John. Early in our relationship, said, "I'd like you to work with Yoko on her music."
Yeah,
and
I guess I'm asking because it's a sense I have just from reading through what I could find about your life is she must have felt seen and respected by you because your presence in their life personally and professionally indicates that.
Yeah. I think when I first started working with her, she tested me. and
because I also interviewed Elliot Mintz.
Yeah.
So I've heard Elliot Mintz's version, especially he wrote a book too, about how she would sort of test him.
Oh yeah. She would test all the time. But the first thing I said to her about something we were doing was, I said, Yoko, I don't care if you play the piano from the bench or inside it. It's going to be unique.
Mm.
So whatever you want to do. I mean, we did some strange things. But it was all cool.
Right.
I was a big John Cage fan. I was a jazzer.
Yeah.
I loved all of that stuff.
Yeah. So looking back now, we know how this story goes and you were there for different parts of it, but how do you view their relationship? Because I think there's more respect now with time for their partnership, maybe is the best way to put it. Because back then it was a very contentious thing, her being, she was blamed for breaking up.
Which was pretty much nonsense.
Sure, but I'm saying is, there's what the public thinks and the lazy journalism and all that stuff. But then when you're actually in the room, you're in the room with these two people who are both, incredible artists.
Yeah.
Hugely influential.
He relied on her a great deal.
Sure, that's what I'm saying is you
really
got an
did.
Inside track where most people didn't on how they actually worked together.
But I would, at some point, I would stop them from working together so that they didn't become too critical of each other. Particularly, this I learned from working with Yoko early, was that if John was producing those sessions and he came in, it became more difficult for her, because if she was singing a little bit flat, he would say something about it. And she would then sing flatter.
Yeah. It's how can you not be?
Yeah. So when it came time for her to do her vocals, we would have breakfast in the morning at La Fortuna, make a plan. Then I would have her come in at 11 o'clock. We would work from 11 to 4, sometimes 5, and he would come in at 5, and we would work to whatever time. That just during vocals.
Sure.
Which meant that she was free most of the time to do whatever she wanted to do on the vocals.
I see.
Just taking some direction from me.
Yeah.
And John was very easy to work with. The one thing I had learned about working with John, and I had asked him this one time when we were sitting there, and I said to him, what is it, of all the producers you could have worked with?
Yeah.
And I knew half the reason was that they trusted me. But of all the producers you could have worked with to do your comeback record here, why me? And he just put his head like that. I said, good antenna. Good antenna. And that I understood, because I knew that when you work with John, you're staying 2 or 3 steps ahead of him at all time. He has no patience for anything that's slowing down. If a song isn't going right after 2 or 3 takes, we're going to move on. And he doesn't have a problem with that. John, let's move on to the next song. Not a problem. Okay. Wow. We'll get back to it tomorrow.
Yeah. Jeff Emmerich tells this amazing story in his book, Here, There, and Everywhere, about John coming in, had a cold, was grumpy, and he did 4 takes of A Day in the Life, and then just banged off. And Jeff Emmerich's like, he didn't necessarily like working with Lennon, because Lennon had no patience.
Yeah.
And where McCartney was willing to do all the meticulous stuff.
Yeah.
And he was more interested in that than the Lennon vibe, which was like, let's just get it done. Boom,
yeah.
boom. But then he turns around and he says, but he had such immense talent, he could actually pull this off.
Oh, yeah.
In 4 takes. So there's always this dichotomy of like, well, why would you do more than 4 takes when you don't have to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If take 2 is good, then why?
Is there a moment that stands out in your mind where you're like, you see that level of talent? Because obviously that's a rare level of talent.
Well, because we did live vocals for everything.
Okay, so give me one where you were like, holy shit, this is why it's John Lennon.
Nobody told me.
Okay.
I mean, that vocal is perfect. It's just he's in there singing and playing at the same time.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
He's playing, he's singing. It's what he does.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, his talent was enormous. His mic technique was incredible. I mean, and also, he drew a line, which was very nice, between me, the producer, and he's the performer, so that he'd do 4 vocals.
Sure.
Maybe 5 if I needed a little patching up here and there, and then he'd leave.
And it's you figured.
Yeah, you figure it out. When you get it, call me, and I'll come out of the room and double it. And that's all it was. He didn't. Stephen would be leaning over you. That S could be better. Do we have another S? How about that T? You know what I mean? You'd be like micromanaging every inch of it, especially when it got to Pro Tools. Yeah. But he was, John was like, he knew that they were all good, that they were all relatively good.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that we had a record until he heard the vocal back on Watching the Wheels.
Okay.
He was like, not sure.
Right.
But when he heard that back, he was like, Mother, you tell him we have a record.
Right. So now that you're a successful music producer in the fantastic music business, I imagine did your phone start ringing a lot? I mean, were you in demand suddenly?
Yeah.
You're making money?
Yeah.
I mean,
money was never a thing, part of it for me. It was like, the apartments kept getting better in New York. Nicer neighborhoods and But it was like...
Did you feel, though, you had your pick, though? I mean, were you getting offered enough stuff that you thought, okay, I want to do that and I don't want to do that? And
yeah.
Because you made some interesting choices. Montrose.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah. I liked it. Ronnie was great. And he was a really interesting man. An astronomer.
Astronomer?
Astronomer.
It sounds weird when we say it.
Yeah, I know.
He was
an astronomer.
Word. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He could tell you anything about this.
Great guitar player.
Amazing guitar.
Cool sound. But
yeah.
Is this Montrose with Hagar singing, or is it?
No, with I can't remember his second guy.
Yeah. Patti Smith, right?
That I loved doing that record.
Yeah.
Patti.
Cool. Rick Derringer, also a really good guitar player.
Yeah.
Recently passed away. God bless him.
Also, I don't know how many, 4, 5, 8 songs with Allen Ginsberg.
Okay.
That I co-produced with Bob Dylan.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a trip.
You want to talk about somebody with no patience.
Yeah. Oh, but Bob, he was truly shy. He used to slip notes to me about what we should do next. What do you think we should do next?
Did you save the notes?
No. Then one day he told me a terrible joke.
Okay.
Out of nowhere. I mean, just really bad. And so I wrote him a note back. I said, stick to the notes. And I couldn't have broke the wall.
Yeah.
But we did. And we had all the beat guys and David Amram and all the whole.
I actually knew David Amram a little bit.
Yeah, still around. So that was an interesting record. I mean, I did Sha-Na-Na.
Huh?
The Knack.
Did you do the first Knack?
This Round Trip, I guess, third.
Okay.
It's considered a classic now.
Okay, I need to go listen to that because I missed that one.
We did what they always wanted to do. Of course, Capitol Records was.
Yeah.
Where's my Sharona?
Yeah.
How about this instead? The Rockets.
Did you ever meet Sharona?
Yes. Many times.
She was my real estate agent at one point.
Yeah, in L.A. Yeah. Yeah. Not what you would expect.
No, not at all.
You expect this blonde and this, she was great. She's a great girl.
Bit of a philosophical bent. Did you find yourself, when you were successful, sort of, I guess the query is something along the lines of like, did you attribute your success to anything particular in philosophy? Because as somebody who's produced records, like at some point you got to kind of pick a lane. You know what I mean? Because there's the intuitive faculty of producing, which is, I feel this is the right thing.
Mm-hmm. But
then you're also under constant pressure about what other people are doing.
I never felt that at all.
Okay, so if you had a recording or an aesthetic philosophy, how would you define it? Because
it's close.
The reason I'm asking is because I know so many of your records, and I know them really, really well. And there is a common sort of feeling to your records, but it's almost hard to put my finger on what it is. So that's why I feel I should ask you.
When I would make a record, the thing that was important to me is that I'm making the record that I want to make with the band. First, the band, and second, not what other people are producing or what the sound is today. Because I would really like 20 years from what I'm producing this record, that this record is still listenable.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of feeling.
Does that go back to that Al Schmitt, Phil Ramone? Like, if it sounds good and it has heart to it, it's going to work and it'll endure. And so is that for you, like the common thread with your work?
Yeah. That it's still, you could still play the record and not go, let's do the gated reverb.
Okay, so you have to indulge me here because, 1977, 76, 77, I'm in my backyard listening to Cheap Trick live at Budokan, being from Chicago, which as I am. I mean, Cheap Trick was they were the local legend.
Yeah, of course.
But that was their breakthrough moment, They had their first record come out, but like Budokan was where they suddenly, they were on pop radio. On the radio station I grew up listening to, they would play I Want You to Want Me at 10 minutes after the hour every hour.
Wow.
So I knew if I sat in the backyard at 110, 210, 310, 410, I'd hear "I Want You to Want Me." Eventually, I figured out if I could record it, then I didn't have to sit and listen. But that was a watershed moment for me, because by having my father was a musician, like I told you, but he never had success. But the fact that there was a band from Chicago that had success that I actually could identify with, that actually told me it was possible to get out of Chicago as a musician. Because with my father, all you ever heard was, you can't be successful out of Chicago. I know it's a lot of information, but there's not really.
I'm trying to think. All I could think of is Bloomfield and the blues bands and
and my dad liked those guys and saw those guys too. But Trick was the moment where it was actually about a younger band making a very Midwestern statement, what we now would call power pop.
Yeah.
And Cheap Trick was the ultimate purveyor of power pop.
Yeah. And
Nielsen is crazy genius.
Yeah.
Whatever goes on in that brain.
Yeah.
Because being in a room with Rick is like it's an endurance test, because he's so ADD.
Yeah.
And you're never quite sure if he's in self-promotion or self-deprecation. Mm-hmm. And Cheap Trick being one of the meanest bands I've ever met in terms of not only dissing each other, but dissing whoever's in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you went through that too.
No, sure. Sure.
So give me some Cheap Trick just to indulge me, because I just love them.
So. Oh, well.
And I want to tell you a funny story at the end of it, but please go ahead.
The first record that we made was, for me, what Cheap Trick was. The Cheap Trick album.
Yeah, that's snotty.
Yeah.
What's that song where you wrote about the serial killer?
It was the Ballad of Richard Speck before they changed it.
Yeah, they changed the name.
The Ballad of
Richard
TV.
Speck was the guy in Chicago who killed all these nurses.
The nurses, right.
Oh, horrible, grisly thing.
He was going to sue from his jail cell. So CBS, they didn't want to fight it. So it was the Ballad of TV Violence.
Yes.
But, it was snotty and dirty and funky and fat and dry.
Yeah.
But also had mandocello in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So that it showed, they could do this too. But when I got stuck, and I'm really stuck on Draw the Line.
Okay.
For almost a year.
Oh.
And I was supposed to do the next Cheap Trick album.
That's why you didn't do it.
Yeah. I was stuck there.
Yeah.
I wanted, I went to Tom Werman and I said, Tom, listen, I can executive produce it, even while I'm doing this up here in Armonk. But I want Rick Derringer to produce it.
Oh.
And he said, I'll take that under advisement. But he loved the band so much. He did it.
Yeah.
God bless him. He did a great job, but I thought he turned the band in a different direction that I would have turned them. The only thing the first record I knew was going to land at college because of the statements that were on it. It was a social protest record. Everything on it. Daddy should have stayed in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it was about, taking heroin. It was about a serial killer. It was, all these issues.
Yes.
And I thought, well, it'd be great there. It's a good start.
Yeah.
And then all those other songs, like I Want You to Want Me, which we recorded, I Love Go-Go Girls, Dream Police, we recorded all those. And I said, next record for these guys. Put them on the back burner. We're going to go slowly.
I never knew that.
Yeah, we're going to go slowly over there. But we're going to make this statement first.
Yes.
College will love you. The rest of the world won't yet. And that's how we'll move. And then when I heard I Want You to Want Me with that piano, I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. And then when it was a hit from Budokan, which I had mixed, I was like, yeah, see, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of contention through the years about the way those other records were produced. Because the word that we would throw around back in the day was they sounded a little bit wimpy.
Yeah.
Where they the band that you see live still to this day, and the band that's on Budokan, that band doesn't sound wimpy at all.
No. I have a funny story about Budokan.
Please, yeah.
So, Budokan's not Budokan. You know that.
Yes, I know.
It's Osaka. It's Osaka.
Okay.
But they sent me the tapes.
Yeah.
And Jay and I, we listened to everything. Well, Budokan sounded terrible. It was just so poorly recorded. I don't know, like
really?
Mics were off, or they were pointed the wrong direction, or there was a little bit of drums, very little, not much, no bass drum. We went to Osaka. It was better. It was the best performance.
Yeah.
I mean, the best recorded. The performance was good.
Yeah.
As good as Budokan.
They play good every night.
Yeah.
They're one of those crazy.
And the screams and everything. It was all great. Yeah. So, in order to reproduce the drum sound, what I did was I put a speaker in a bass drum, and I filtered whatever I had from the tape down, so only 60 below cycles were getting through. And then I mic'd that bass drum, so now I had a thump.
Oh, you basically did like a virtual sample. Wow,
yeah.
That's amazing.
And I did the same thing with the snare drum.
Okay.
There was one overhead on it, so it was getting a little bit of snare and some toms and some cymbals. I
never knew that.
So I put a speaker on top of a snare drum and mic'd underneath it. And I think go from 5K to 8K, or from 3K to 8K. And that was okay.
It does have a cool.
Yeah, now I got a snare drum. So that's how we did that. And it was tough. But here's the funny story. Rick calls me up 20 years ago, something like that. He goes, "We have the film for Budokan. We're going to do a 5-1. I want you guys to mix a 5-1 version of it." And I said, "You have the film from Budokan?" I said, "But," he goes, "Yeah, just use like kind of the same mix, maybe." I said, "But that mix is Osaka, remember?"
Did he not know that?
No, he'd forgotten.
Oh, he forgot.
He thought he was so excited.
Yeah.
So now Jay and I go to work on this thing, and thank God for Pro Tools. There was a cut and paste job you would not believe, because when there was a close-up on Rick or his hands or Robin singing, that was Budokan. When I was a wide shot, it was Osaka. and it was just, it was a labor of love. We loved doing it. And
what great songs, though.
Oh, yeah.
Great time.
They're in Japan now, I think. Or they just got back.
They're doing their final, because I was just there. All the advertisement is final Budokan, final. I just played Budokan the other day. So whenever we're in that building, it's always like I go back to sitting in the backyard listening to the mix that you've done from Osaka. Is that sound of that record still to this day? Being from Chicago, that record means so much to us in Chicago.
You should go back to Chicago at all?
I still live there.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I always say it's the most indicative sign of my insanity that I live in Chicago still. Good. That I've never gotten out. We don't get political here.
Okay.
Okay, just a couple more things. Thanks for indulging me.
I also worked during that period of like John and the Who, and I also worked with George Harrison,
right,
on Bangladesh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I have to say, your public record is very incomplete.
Yeah, I worked with David Bowie on some live record that he wanted.
I had no idea any of this.
Yeah, I worked with Stevie Wonder. I mean, I was working with.
You need to get some minion to go out there and fix your public record.
Yeah.
Let's cycle back and I know I wanted to tell you a story. Now I can't remember the story I want to tell you. It was a good story. Anyway, doesn't matter. So at some point, John or Yoko, one of them calls and says, John's going to come out of retirement. I want you to hear these demos.
Yeah.
What was your opinion when John was in his retirement, his house husband sort of retirement?
I saw him about a year before we did this record. I was at a health food restaurant over on the east side. He had been in the Y with Sean, teaching him to swim. And he came in and he put his hands over my eyes, said, "Guess who?" And I guessed, of course, all the wrong people, but I knew it was them. I
love it.
And he said to me, "What are you up to?" He goes, I said, I asked him, "What are you up to?" Yeah. And he said, "I'm a house husband. I'm not doing anything." I found that hard to believe. And he said, "Look, why don't you," he says, "I miss the whole scene. Mm. Here's my private number." And I only lived like 4 blocks from him on the west side, on Central Park West. Yeah. "Here's my phone number. Call me up and come up and hang out." And I didn't.
Really?
I didn't, because I thought, all the stuff I'm reading about him, and he just wants to be a dad, and I'm the last thing he needs me to come up there. And
wow.
Now, maybe that was a good thing.
I see.
It might have been a good thing. Yeah. Because now, a year later, when the mystic phone call came in to come out to their mansion out there in Glen Cove or wherever that was, they flew me out in a seaplane.
Okay.
And Yoko gave me an envelope that said, "For Jack's ears only." It was from John. And John then called from Bermuda. And he said, "I want you to listen to this. And tomorrow, tell me if you think it's just shit or I have a record there." And there were 2 cassettes in it. They were wonderful. Wonderful. They were all narrated.
Were these just like him playing into a tape recorder? Or?
Well, yeah, he's either playing a guitar or some shitty keyboard. I think.
He had some kind of keyboard that he
used,
right?
Yeah, just kind of like organy piano sound. Somebody's banging on pots and pans in the background.
Yeah.
Then he recorded that directly into the mics on a blaster. Then he took that blaster and played it, not wired it, just played it into another blaster. And while he did that, he doubled the vocal. Because he had to double his vocals.
Oh my God.
So it was a generation away,
But you heard the songs right away. And
I heard them, and they were all narrated. Most of them said, "Here's another piece." One or two of them were "This is definitely for Richard Starkey," which I finally gave to Richard Starkey, and we recorded it with Paul playing bass a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But I thought when I spoke to him the next day, and he said, "What do you think?" And I thought it was incredibly beautiful, great songs. There were just a ton of them. And I said to him, "Why don't you just release these cassettes?"
Interesting.
I don't think I could get the magic of what you've captured here. It's incredible. It's just beautiful. And he said, "I suppose that means that you like the record, you like the music." And I said, "I love it." He goes, "Okay, well, we're going to make a record then."
Wow.
But it has to be secret.
Yeah.
So no one knew, kinda.
Yeah.
Andy Newmark says he knew from the get-go, because I rehearsed the band without John.
Yeah.
I charted all the songs.
Yeah. How'd you feel, though, about this kind of, again, this idea of them sharing the record, because that sort of feeds into how when it comes out?
At first, I thought it was just a John record for a minute, until Yoko handed me this much, these pretty tapes, and she said, "And here's my stuff." Okay. It's going to be both of you. She said, "Yes, it'll be both of us." So that's when I knew. Okay. That day.
I was shocked in doing the research that the record was, at least what I read, it was poorly received. It didn't.
They were like, "Where's the edge?
That's so strange.
Where's the angry John?" I'm like, this is him at approaching 40 years old. He wants to know how the rest of you are doing. This is how he's doing.
Yeah.
He's He's never sung anything to you but his truth.
Always, yeah.
And there he is singing his truth. And where's the edge? Where's I'm the walrus?
In the world that we live in now, you would think automatically a number one record. He's back after 5 years.
Yeah.
And the whole thing. And it was the complete opposite. I don't remember that at the time.
It was, because it was mostly ill-received in the UK. Less so here. Starting Over was a big hit right out of the box.
Okay.
So it wasn't...
yeah. Was part of the criticism Yoko still, or was it more about John?
That was a tremendous... why do we have to hear Yoko in order to hear John? Well, it's a heart play.
Yeah.
It's a dialogue.
Yeah, I see.
And, I didn't understand at all why it would feel that way about it. Geffen understood
it. This is a maybe a strange question to ask, because obviously when someone passes away, it puts everything that's happened before into a different relief. Did you love the record as it was when it came out, irregardless of the...
Oh yeah, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, because it's gone on to be a classic now.
Yeah.
But it's also imbued with the tragedy that follows the coming out.
Try to dust that off a little bit.
Yeah, you kind of can.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I ask how you felt when it actually went out.
Also, I think that Walking on Thin Ice is quite brilliant.
Mm. Yeah, it is cool. So, because we talked about a little bit before we rolled cameras, you alluded to the fact that John being assassinated, and I use that word because Sean uses that word.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I heard Sean say that, we were talking in private, and he said, when my father was assassinated, not when John Lennon was killed or John Lennon was assassinated, when my father was assassinated, it's one of those things where you kind of, it hits you like a fish upside the face, because you're like, wow, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate, which is why I would say it that way, right? So when John was assassinated, you alluded to the fact that it kind of sent you off in a different path. Can you talk about that?
Because suddenly everyone wanted a magazine article, everyone wanted a book, everyone wanted this, everyone wanted that. I wanted, absolutely nothing to do with it. And so I started hiding out and then taking pills so that I could just stay in the house, send somebody else.
Did you feel, was it a sense of personal trauma, or you didn't like that you were in this different circumstance, or was it all of the above?
All of the above, yeah. I didn't want to go out of the house. It was terrible. And I felt this terrible guilt because very often I went home with him, and I didn't because I had another session after. And so I played it over and over.
What could have been different?
I would have been in the car. I would have seen the guy. I would have tackled him. John would be alive. So that played over and over and over until I could put it away with medicating it.
Yeah.
And then that turned to different drugs. And then I was out of control. And I had to just lay low. After 82 or 80 something, I just stopped altogether.
Yeah.
Until I was sober. I'm sober 31 or 32 years. But I remember them telling me in the program, wait, stay sober for 2 years before you even think about going back to work. And I had really good sobriety because my dad had a big old house upstate. And it was a chance to, my mom had already passed. It was a chance for me to check in with him, stay with him, kind of take care of him for a while, take care of this big house, the big old 17-room farmhouse, contribute to that, my wife and I, our son. And And it turned out that there was a lot of sobriety in the area. And it was good. I mean, I went to rehab, and then after rehab, it's like, they said, okay, stay sober for 2 years, and then think about almost 2 years to the day. I got a call to produce Supertramp. It was like, hello? Because, I don't know if you know anything about the AA and all their mottos. Of course, wait for the miracle is one of their things, So, and it was like, hello, miracle. and then after that, I was back to work, and it was good.
Yeah.
And I felt good, and I put it behind me.
Yeah.
But never completely.
Yeah.
Never completely.
So
it comes to me often in a dream.
Okay.
John does.
Is it a recurring situation, or is it always different?
It's different. It could be in different places. Could be the studio.
Is it a comfort to you that he
It
comes?
is, yeah.
Yeah.
He talks to me. He liked to talk to me. He liked to tell me that I didn't know anything. He'd say to me, for a bright guy, Jack, you don't know anything.
So two last things, and because I saw where at some point you had to sue because of unpaid royalties, and I'm not as interested in that as the fact that at some point there's this piece, and you still work with the estate. And how did that come about that you end up making peace? Because usually once there's a legal thing, that's kind of the end of the relationship.
Yeah, well, she was being advised by a really bad guy that she was having a relationship with, who told her that you should trust no one, and especially me, who to this guy I look like I knew everything because I'd been around for so long.
I see.
This is the one guy you don't want to trust. And I was like, I'm the one guy you can trust, no matter what was going on.
Yeah.
No matter what I saw.
Yeah.
So she went into this. At one point during a free trial hearing, I slid over next to her. Security went for me. She said to her security, and I said, don't do this. Okay. Don't do it. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's a signed contract.
Just pay me and let's move on.
Yeah. Let's just get over it. And still we went to trial, which lasted a week. The jury was out for 10 minutes. They said they got a sandwich and came back. But there were some funny moments during the trial that I could think of. Apparently, she promised, what's his name from Rolling Stone, the owner?
Jan Wenner.
Jan. She promised Jan that he could have the journal.
Okay.
If he came in and testified on her behalf. Of course, she didn't have the journal. Nobody had the journal.
Because somebody'd stolen it.
Right? Yeah. Sam Havitoy was the guy, by the way, who was behind all of this.
Yeah. Who actually wrote a weird book. Have you ever seen that book?
No. Oh, my God. No.
He wrote a book where he admits that he stole the journal and he can't put what was in the journal out publicly, but he can put what he remembers about reading in the journal.
Oh, Jesus. I think he stole the watch, too.
It's such a scummy, weird,
he was
bottom of
awful.
the dumpster.
Yeah. So Jan gets up there, and so her attorney is saying, so who was this Jack Douglas anyway? And Jan is saying, he was really a nobody.
He only produced.
Yeah, he was like nobody, kind of an engineer, that's all. I mean, John liked him and he gave him a job. So now my attorney, Peter Parcher, gets up and he's got a book in his hand, and it's Jan's book. And he said, Jan, would you read this? And it's a chapter in his book where he talks about me being this brilliant producer. He makes Jan read it to the jury.
Yeah.
And of course, that was terrible.
Yeah.
And then Phil Spector comes in to testify.
Oh, my goodness.
Because she promised Phil, I'll give you more stuff to work on.
Yeah.
So now Phil is totally
Sorry to laugh.
He's totally f***ed up. And he gets on the stand and they're asking him questions and he can't make any sense of even what they're asking him. So now no more questions. He gets up and he stumbles. And as he stumbles out of the witness box, his wig goes sideways. So now his sideburns are over his nose. And it was just a pathetic sight. And everybody was like, oh my God. The funniest one and strangest one of all was I would come in, I guess this lasted maybe 2 weeks. Mm. I would come in, and this is the Supreme Court, New York City.
Goodness.
The room was divided by an aisle in the middle. I was sitting up front. She wouldn't sit up front because of assassination attempts. So she was sitting crowded by her people.
Okay.
Everyone that was supporting her was on that side, and everyone supporting me was on my side, behind me. And so I would come in, and it would be the same people every day, same people. And I would come in, and I always, thanks for coming by. Thank you. Your support is really welcome. Thank you so much. And there was one guy, he was sitting almost directly behind me, and I'd say, thank you so much for coming in. And he would just look at me. He wouldn't even say anything, just look at me. And then as I'm sitting up at the bench, every once in a while I turn around, I could feel the guy's his eyes boring into the back of me. I turn around, he'd be like staring at me. And then one day he was gone. About a week later, he was gone. So now Bob Gruen, because he worked with Yoko, had to sit on Yoko's side. And Bob and I are very good friends. So Bob and I would meet in the men's room so we could talk. And Bob said to me, boy, you f***ed that guy up. So I said, what guy? He's going, that witch that Yoko hired to put a spell on you. He was sitting directly behind you. He went up to Yoko and he said, I can't get anywhere with this guy. Every day he comes in, thanks me, smiles, he pats me on the back. Yeah. He quit. And I was like, whoa.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
But you made peace. That's the nice.
We did at a show at one of Sean's shows at Bowie Ballroom.
Okay.
I went to see it. She was upstairs. I was sitting downstairs. And somebody came downstairs and said, Yoko would like you to come up to the table.
Okay.
And I came up and I went upstairs and she gave me a big hug. And she said, really, there's a lot of water has run under the bridge. And then we started working on little things together.
I saw that. That's why I was surprised.
Yeah. And I get a Christmas card from her where she opened that MoMA. She sent me a invitation to the opening, and we stay in touch.
That's good.
I love her.
Yeah. Well, you shared a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
Important stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I saw you teach a class on studio etiquette.
I did. That school closed.
Okay. That doesn't say much for your teaching, but
no.
but
for all those schools.
Let's give me one or two parables of studio etiquette. I got to hear this.
The artist is always right.
I love this.
Listen before you touch anything.
I know this feeling.
Yeah. Treat everyone that you work with well, no matter who it is.
Whoever's on the totem pole, all the same.
Yeah, and stay ahead of everything that's going on. Can
I tell you a quick Frank Sinatra story? Because I love this story.
Sure.
Are you a Frank Sinatra fan?
I am.
Okay, so I worked with a guy in New York at a place called Chung King, if you remember.
I know
Chung
it.
King. Yeah.
Downtown.
Yeah, and this was the 90s, and he had recently, within recent times, had worked with Sinatra towards the end of Sinatra's life.
Uh-huh.
And I said, what was it like working with Sinatra? And he said, every day, all the boys would come in with, bins of mostaccioli and set up the table, full everything. And then Frank at 5 or whatever would sit down for dinner, and everybody working would sit at the table with Frank. Didn't matter if you were the tape op, the guy sweeping the floor. Everybody sat at the table with Frank. And Frank sat there and ate. They ate the same food Frank was eating, and then Frank sat there for a while and told stories. So that buoys up what you're saying.
Yeah.
If Frank can do it, so can you. So I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, very welcome.
Hope you had a good time.
Yeah, great time.
Thanks.
Thanks.